Guys, I mean, I want Gerber to win. I want him to win. I want him to dial stuff in, but this is not the way to do it. This knife represents a case study and how the ball can get dropped between the design phase of an item and the final finished product that you and me, the user, gets to handle. This is the Gerber Convoy that I recently picked up for a few reasons. Not only does the design really connect with me, I mean, it really does look like a really well laid out camp knife, which is what it's intended to be. And regardless if you love or hate Gerber knives, you got to say the design department over there definitely needs to get our hats taken off to them, because they definitely design some really cool ideas and profiles in their tools. The second is this high, flat, almost combo grind. It's a saber or flat grind to about here, and then it transitions into a full flat on the tip. And I've really been enjoying this kind of combo grind lately on a lot of my tools. Just the fact that it's not a scanty grind at a budget price of under $50. But as soon as I began to use it, 3 glaring problems reared their ugly head and basically made it a non-starter for me in use of this tool. So I'm gonna save you some grief by highlighting what those 3 issues are, as well as 2 alternatives that will perform a lot better. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Aaron. This is Gideon's Tactical. Let's dive on in. Now, as soon as I unboxed this knife, one problem became apparent right away, and it's the handle ergonomics. This is not an ergonomic knife. Now, when you look at it in the side profile, it looks great. You have micarta handle scales, that's awesome. Lots of styling points, crossed out, you know, good texture, a little bit of a valley right there. Full tank construction, you got tubes on the back, screw on the front. I mean, we're cooking, we're looking good here. One, this scale is very thin with a maximum thickness of 0.5, so ½ an inch. And then on top of that, the scales are crowned. The shoulders of the spine were not milled, so you can definitely feel them more than, say, like a lion steel knife would be or something like that. I actually had a metal shaving burr on the back that almost got dug into my finger. Thankfully I caught it, I kind of bumped it. Oh, I need to get rid of that, pulled it off. So this was not milled properly. And then as I began to use the knife even more so, I discovered that the ridge right here lands right on my index, or excuse me, my middle finger right there, and was causing a pressure point instead of it being a little bit more forward, encapsulating your index finger and then leaving the other 3 nice and free. It does not do that. So you're gonna get a hot spot right there on your ring finger. And then those scales down by the guard are so thin, I can actually get my fingernail underneath there and start flexing them kind of. So over time, you could probably get like a little screwdriver under there and just crack that micarta, break it off or cause damage to it. It's just so paper thin. Right there near the neck, being already a thin handle, just leads to a pinch point where you almost feel like you are just gripping the tang of the knife and you're almost losing the scale altogether. Finally, I was having some creaking and ever so micronic shifting up between the screw and then the first tube, meaning that the tube, because I tightened down the screw as far as we go, the tube is not fully flared out well enough to encapsulate the handle scale. It just shows that altogether hot spots, too thin, and just not working for me and how I would expect an ergonomic knife to be. Now, problem number 2 has to do with the blade, not only in how it got totally damaged in under 5 minutes and how I bent the tip, and I'll explain how that all occurred in just a moment. But it's because of the viewers like you, as well as the sponsors of this channel, that empower me to take the man hours to test, edit, film, and purchase gear just like this to give you guys insight on what is available on the market, what to go after, what to steer away from. And I want to highlight today's sponsor, which is Hardside Hydration and their ultralight as well as standard swig rig system. What I love about this American-based company is that they have devised a way for you to have hands-free hydration and give it to you attached to your hard-sided water bottles, regardless if it's your favorite 32 or 48 ounce Nalgene or any 28 millimeter ultralight bottle that you would get at the grocery store, say like a Smart Water bottle or a Fuji bottle. The ultralight, as well as the original swig rig system, allows you to attach to these types of water bottles, keeping your fluids on the outside of your pack, meaning that you can see when fluids get low, making it easier to refill, and gets the hassle out of those cumbersome and hard to clean water bags. And that's why they've become an essential piece of kit when I go on trail for over 2 years now. So in the description below this video, I'm gonna have my 10% off exclusive promo code that you can apply towards your purchase, as well as a link over to the Hardside website so you can see all the different accessories and features that this system offers, so that the next time you hit the trail, you can be better hydrated and have that hands-free ability as well. Now, it's like a trick of the eye, because at first glance, this Stonewash blade that is 1/8 of an inch thick, 4 inches in blade length for 3.9, with that high grind, I mean, in theory, it should just be like crushing it. It has 440A steel. That's the first issue. 440A steel is extremely dated. It is pretty soft. It is easy to resharpen and corrosion resistant, so that's the benefit, but it just doesn't hold up to most even budget like AUS 8, 8CR13 MOV when properly heat treated steels that are out there, and it's just below the budget line. Now, I've used that steel on the Gerber Scout and it held up pretty well, and that's actually a great design knife, just really low budget steel. And I figured, you know, for under 50 bucks, if it's hitting all the points with the handle, ergos are fine. Well, okay, we just have to resharpen it pretty frequently. Well, sadly, I found that it damaged itself right away, within 5 minutes, literally taking it out of the sheaths for the first time to use, and I did some very basic camp tasks, and I had toothy damage all over the edge. All right, I don't know how well it's gonna show up on camera right here, but I have 2 major rolls right there on the edge, and that's just from going through that one piece of wood right there, this guy, and making a few feather sticks. That is it. That is all I have done with this blade since I got it, pulled it out of the sheath, started using it, and it's already rolling. I mean, it won't hold an edge in outdoor tasks to save its life. Oh my gosh. Like noticeable within moments. It was not pleasant. I was very frustrated. The relief edge is very high, so that probably adds to it. And Gerber says they Rockwell this 55 to 59, which is like a big swath there. And it was just almost unusable. I haven't seen, let me put it this way, I have not seen a knife steel dull out this quickly in years. So that was very disappointing to see. I was hoping it would at least hold up, you know, to split a few pieces of kindling, whittle a couple spears, and make, say, 5 feather sticks and cut some rope before you might need to like just strop the edge really quick. But this is, because it's like toothing up, yikes. So not only is the grind edge too high, making it very thin for harder steel, better heat treated, potentially could work. But this, it's basically unusable, and you're gonna be resharpening it constantly. Then I took the fine tip, which it is fine, to do a tip test. Now I didn't go crazy with it. Knives are not crowbars. I don't like doing tip tests. And it bent the tip, meaning that Rockwell is pretty low. Whatever's going on, that's low. I mean, it's better than breaking the tip, but I mean, here's an S35 VN steel knife with a thinner tip. This is the SOG Ether. And it held up to the exact same piece of wood doing the exact same test. So, I mean, and that's a thinner stock than this stock, and it bent the tip. So 440A was just a terrible, you know, blade steel choice for this particular knife, and is gonna just dull out. I could just go on and on. It just did not perform even for a budget steel. And make sure to stick around, because I got those 2 non-scandied options for us to consider in just a moment, because that's part of what I liked it. I was like, cool, not a Scandi ground knife for under 50 bucks. The final piece is the sheath. Gerber usually does a pretty good job with the sheaths. Now it's polymer, it's slim, drainage hole, ambidextrous, you can unscrew it. What really comes down is twofold. One, I'm gonna have to modify this because the retention is so tight on my belt that I have to keep grabbing the knife to pull it out. It's not wanting to come out on the retention scale that I have. So it's a little too tight. Not the end of the world. With a heat gun, I can kind of mess with it and hopefully dial it in. But add to that, the way the belt attachment is designed, now it's pretty flexible. I'm going 90 and it's not snapping. So close to the handle and as wide as the handle, what ends up happening is I'm fighting with that as well. And it's just, I'm fighting with it constantly. It's flexing off of my body, and then the tension is really strong, making it difficult for me to remove one-handed. So that combination on top of the scales, on top of the steel, just all of it, again, in theory, when you look at it like this, you're like, dude, that looks sick. That's a sick profile. The profile in the design CAD just did not match up to what was chosen in materials, thickness of handle, and design layout of the sheath, all of which could have been better, and you can just get better. So the first option I'm going to give you here for under 50 bucks is the Condor Bush Glider, made out of 1095, not 1075, 1095, high carbon steel, full tank construction all the way through, polymer sheath, polymer, like polypropylene handle. But you can see how much thicker that is. That's how you do like a camp knife. Rounded, feels great in the hand. We got a full flat grind on there. We got a clip, not sharpened, but you could sharpen it. This is great for food prep. It's 1/8 of an inch thick. I've really used the heck out of this thing. You can also get the Pterosaur, which is the exact same knife, just in a Scandi grind if you did want Scandi. But this is a great option if you want that full flat grind and just something different than like a Mora. Ambidextrous, really slim polymer sheath that's way easier to get the knife out of. And I will be including links to these two alternatives in the description below this video if you're interested in checking those out. And then I have here the American-made 420 HC, which I have now experienced on multiple Gerbers, outperforms this 440A, even though they're kind of in that really low budget arena. The Gerber just does a better job of 420 HC. The Gerber Gator fixed blade. You can pick this up on Blade HQ currently for $55, and it's made in the USA. Similar size and profile. This will have a hollow grind. Amazing. Again, going back to the thickness, way thicker handle, rubberized. I believe the tang goes down almost to the lanyard hole. It's definitely like 3/4 like a Mora, if not all the way. Tang just feels so good in the hand. That guard hump, whatever you want to call it right there, indexes your first finger so well. Plenty of real estate. I love this little knife. So light. I think it's like under, I have my scale. Let's find out. Because the Convoy is for like 0.3, which is light. This is 3.9. 3.9. The one downside is the sheath is pretty much garbage. I hate the sheath. You can get a Kydex one from AZ Welke. The photo on their site is actually this knife that I had to make for me. It's going to be the same cost as a knife though. It's like 50 bucks to get a Kydex sheath, but if you do that, it is delicious. There are some Etsy makers that make leather kind of generic sheaths that could potentially work for this for like $15 to $20. So those are options. It will cost you a little bit more, but basically within $10 you can get an American-made, much better camp knife than on the Convoy. So guys, I want Gerber to win. I want him to win. I want him to dial stuff in. But this is not the way to do it. And I was just not impressed, and it failed me on multiple fronts from my experience, and I wouldn't use it camping. That's that's my mileage. Your mileage may vary. I look forward to reading the comments below. If you guys have questions or thoughts, feel free to share them. Appreciate you guys always for coming, watching this video. Check out the other one if you haven't yet, and subscribe if you haven't yet. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared. I'll see you out there.